Okay, we're here. It's March. It's March 31st. So far, 11 months recording without having to bump to the next month. This is, yeah, it's pretty amazing, I think,
Yeah.
actually. So
I wasn't sure we were going to be able to do it this month. Our calendars were a little bit hard to align.
I'd say not just one calendar, but all three calendars. It's like all this, everything. And we were talking the other day about, Davin and I were talking the other day in a larger group about the number of deadlines that we have for various projects. They all, they keep getting changed, but they end up like at March 31st. Today's a deadline. Is today a deadline? Today's a deadline. Tomorrow, April 1st is a deadline for sure. And then a deadline that was March 31st got moved to April 7th. So it's like, wow, everything is kind of coming at once. Not to mention life comes at us too. So anybody have anything they want to talk about before we get out of here? Amy, I would love to hear about your latest newsletter before we get out of here. You want to share? You want to talk about it? What you want to talk about it?
Sure.
So to anybody watching this, I didn't tell her I was doing this. So. But I'm excited about your project.
That's so funny. Well, it was totally inspired by the last conversation, the last haiku conversation that we had, maybe after we had turned off the video. But you guys had just said, how are you going to be sharing about what you're learning in spiritual direction? And I was like, I don't know. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, I'm going to start a Sunday evening newsletter. So it's called Smaller and Deeper. And it's where I share, I don't know, thoughts about living smaller and deeper and what that means. And this last Sunday, I shared about a practice that I learned in my spiritual direction learning. So we'll put a link if people would like to sign up and join, start their Sundays or start their going into a week with, I don't know, hopefully some inspiration, ideas, slow down. I don't know.
Well, I think you've had about three. Maybe?
Yeah. 3,
and I've read them all, and I've forwarded them to my own little page myself because I think they're so valuable. I like, I think they're really helpful. So
thank you. It's fun.
The challenge of writing once a week is a discipline that you have to get into a kind of a mode, to be able to do that. So I admire you for taking that on.
I have it scheduled on my calendar, a block on Friday afternoons, like write Smaller and Deeper so that I get it done.
And yet this last week you did it at the last minute.
I did it Sunday morning, but I did it.
Saw that. Which is so Michael.
I just go down as well.
Okay, well, let's hit it then. I'm going to share my screen and I'll so that folks, anybody watching this can see what we've actually produced this month. So this is we will have a recording as a result of this. Obviously, we're recording right now, and we publish this on the Profound Living blog. And this will be what we're doing today is our 11th recording of our monthly haiku reading. I find that, and before that, we did this several months without recording. And so we've been doing this recordings almost a year, but longer than that. So here's Davin's haiku. And Davin, you want to read it? And then we'll I'm not sure we can take it on. We'll see,
That's right. Every month is a new experiment in synchronicity, it seems. So we'll see how it goes.
That's right.
So I needed a title this month. God is inevitable. God ever present. We can run, but cannot hide. Wisdom abounds here.
What a great picture too.
Yeah.
So Amy, you want to start or you want me to?
I can start, sure.
Okay.
Is this a prayer, a haiku, an observation, a challenge? Do I feel hope? Do I feel fear? Does the comma after God mean that God is being addressed? What does abound mean? These were the questions that flooded my brain as I took in Davin's haiku for the first time. For me, it's all of the above: a prayer, a haiku, an observation, a challenge. There is hope and there is fear. The comma after God, I think, is an invitational comma. God, who is ever present, we can run from you like Jonah, David, and Saul. We can try, and we do try to hide. The hiding never works. God, ever present, is indeed ever present. In the belly of a whale, deep, dark caves, and on a rocky desert path. Wisdom, the ability to discern inner qualities and states, is here in the ever-presentness of God, in the running, in the trying to hide. Wisdom isn't just here. Wisdom is prevalent and in copious amounts. That's what abound means. Here in this moment, here now as every now unfolds. As I wrote the above, what might be the outlines of a collect, I turned to a daily book of prayers with Coramella, I'm saying this wrong, Community by Padraig Otuma. It's this little book of daily prayers. In his introduction to writing collects, which are prayers used in, liturgies, he says a collect has a beautiful form, like a haiku of intention. He goes on to describe the movements of a collect. I was delighted to stumble upon that connection. I was realizing that they're really like cousins, a collect and a haiku. So it's kind of a random reflection, but I like the idea of it. It sort of developed into a prayer, a collect.
I love that, and I hadn't thought at all about haiku being a cousin to a collect. But boy, we had similar brains this month. You hit the nail on the head, Amy. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, wait till you hear my my high bun.
Okay,
we're on the same wavelength here. That's
love it.
awesome.
Love it.
Well, I definitely need the title of that book because I had never heard of that before. Colic.
Yeah,
That's
I'll send it to you. Yeah, the link.
that's very interesting. I love coming to these because I learn something new every single time.
Right.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
So God is inevitable. Well, nothing like bringing out Moses to make a point. The first perception of this haiku does come from the image of Moses and the parting of the Red Sea. This powerful image reinforced this powerfully written, certain haiku. God is always with us, no matter what we do, no matter how little we deserve the divine, regardless of our efforts to court the divine. I like the connection here between words like inevitable, ever present, and the idea of no escape. And when I read the denouement, wisdom abounds here. It shows how the recognition of this ubiquity deepens our understanding of what will always be infinitely and ultimately unfathomable.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. You both just really developed my ideas here really clearly and well, better than I did for sure. So as we move into our high bun here, just want to say that when I get these, I've developed a process, right? So we probably all have, but I write my haiku always before. Usually I've written them because I write them, as I think both of you do, kind of on a regular basis. I don't think I'm as prolific as certainly not as prolific as Michael. Amy, I'm not sure how often you write them, but I'm not a daily haikuer. But anyway, I've often got a few that I'm choosing from. So I've got it written well before I receive both of yours. Yours come in the mail, mine come electronically. And then I don't read the third one until I've written my high bun on the second one. So I don't ever know what your haiku is until I've written all of them, right? So this time, Michael's was first. So I didn't even look at yours, Amy, until I'd finished my high bun on Michael. So I just like to make sure there's that, it's the social scientist in me a little bit, maybe the making sure we've got this nice discrete process, and any connections are truly authentic, I think. And not by inauthentic, I would mean kind of manufactured or kind of put in there after the fact. All right. As a child, Cecil B. DeMille's The 10 Commandments took over at least one of our 3 TV channels for a few days every spring. I loved it, in spite of its interminability. I didn't know what an intermission was until I was old enough to make it to the halfway point of the movie, where it sort of, breaks it off and it says intermission across the screen there. I didn't know what that was because I couldn't stay up long enough to get there for a bunch of years. So it's a really long movie, but I loved it. And my love of it grew over the years. Part of that love stems from association. The joy of spring has always been intoxicating for me. The hope of new life and longer days as we emerge from the darkness of winter. Yes, of course, spring is wonderful because of that. But truth be told, springtime mattered because it was baseball season. Baseball and the 10 Commandments, that's springtime. Later in life, it dawned on me that Passover and Easter are springtime holidays captured in the 10 Commandments, one literally, one figuratively. And so we made it a tradition in my family, my wife, kids, we made it a tradition in our home as well, even though it's not on TV anymore, as far as I can tell. Moses' commanding image via Charlton Heston has evolved in my mind. Once it was a stand-in for God. When I thought of God, I thought of Charlton Heston in that exact image that I put there, which, feels a little, part meaningful, part cheesy, sort of look back on it now, but it's an image, it's a striking image. It's evolved in my mind from a once stand-in for God, but now I see Moses as a very meaningful representation, almost a composite character of a few immutable truths. God is ever present, 1. 2, we, collective humankind, we spend a lot of energy and effort trying to escape God. 3, we develop tremendous angst and struggle for not being able to escape God. 4, the sooner and more completely we embrace God, the better the outcome. So Moses' movement from Egyptian prince to Hebrew deliverer captures all of these truths. It follows the plot of the 10 Commandments and of Moses' life. And there is genuine wisdom there.
Wow. So good.
That is powerful, just in what you were saying.
I wanted to find a better picture. I was kind of, we're limited with stuff that's available for public consumption. So that was one that I could find. I think it's a great picture, but it's
Oh, it added so much. It added so much to open up my email and like, whoo.
Yeah. Well, and I love that picture, and I love that movie. There's a lot of, I am not much one for going back and being too judgmental about things which happened at a certain time when things were a certain way. And so, I can judge. I want to be more apt of evaluating people today by today's standards than that. And so I think Moses, especially, that image was important to me at a time, and it's important to me now. And so that's why I think that's part of what your point is, I think, Davin. And I think those are important parts of our lives. And so I don't perceive of God now as this man with a beard or sitting on a cloud or any of those kind of things anymore. But that doesn't mean it's not true or partly true or could be true or who knows what, right? So anyway, this idea of a powerful, inevitable. Anyway, I'm elaborating on your haiku, but really, it's important. So,
Well, thank you.
Well done,
Yeah, so good.
Amy. Let me see what I got for you. So we go from God to ordinary. Ordinariness. So if you read it,
word.
what's that?
A 5-syllable word. It's not often that you find a 5-syllable word.
It's like insurrectionist. There's a 5-syllable word.
So my haiku this month was ordinariness, a curse or a call, decide, beauty in what is. And then I also shared a quote. I don't know. Yeah. Empower me to exercise the authority of honesty and be a participant in the difficult ordinariness of now. And Ted Loder said that.
And there for all observers is the website, theartofpoweringdown.com. Mm-hmm. And I have this, by the way, at the end as well, just so folks know. And maybe Amy will add your newsletters or link to this.
Oh, sure.
Either this month or some other month, but definitely we'll add the link to this.
Sure. And I have it on my website too. So
yeah. So ordinariness. Davin, you want to do it or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll go.
Great.
Right. One of my favorite aphorisms is bloom where you are planted. It captures so much that is difficult, yet worthwhile. Resist the grass is greener and the FOMO, fear of missing out mindsets. Mm-hmm. Replace them with appreciation and love, one. And number two, replace them with appreciation and love for what has been provided to you. Mm-hmm. There is deep hubris in the empty lust of FOMO vision. That somehow my own volition and agency can replace what Providence has gifted. Mm. And if you think that this hubris is somehow new or greater nowadays, the evidence suggests otherwise. The greatest of the 7 deadly sins, for example, is pride. And at least a few of the 10 commandments can be read as imploring us to value and love what has been provided, not what seems better because it's out of reach or belongs to someone else. Mm. We humans are consistent and predictable. FOMO is just another word for something we've always experienced. Not surprisingly, helpful wisdom is just as ancient and consistent. Enter Amy's ordinariness, beautiful and instructive 5 syllables. Mm-hmm. The things at hand and familiar, literally the things that are domestic, are 2 things at once, a blessing and a curse. We make the difference. Beauty in what is, bloom where you are planted. Clarion calls, both are clarion calls for authentic opus Dei, pursuing the work of God in the ordinary and through the ordinary.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
You captured it exactly. You captured exactly what I was going for.
We are on the same wavelength this month, Amy.
Yeah.
So I was reading that, and Allie, my wife, kind of looked over my shoulder, and she said, well, that's not a haiku. And I said, ordinariness. I said, that's 5. That's 5 syllables. Doesn't have to be 5 words or 3 words. 1 word.
I know. Well, I mean, I was thinking about when in my thing, I don't think I wrote this, but it is hard to then it gives you down only 12 syllables to express anything else around if you have 1 word that is 5 syllables.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a constraint.
It was a fun challenge.
Well, an interesting thing too is that we are living by the 5-7-5 rule. We're constraining ourselves. A lot of haikuists don't do that. And of course the haikus written in another language may have 5-7-5 in that language, but not 5-7-5 in our language. So there's a lot of discretion on what you can do. For me, the 5-7-5 is very helpful constraint. And so maybe when I get to be better at this at some point in time, can be, but it's just, to me, it's a great constraint. And I loved not only this haiku, but I also love what you just had to say about it, Davin. I am not going to forget FOMO vision soon. FOMO vision. It almost is contradictory, right? Because it makes me sound like FOMO vision, Okay, we've got FOMO vision here for missing out vision. Okay, ordinariness. What a great word. Excuse me. So this haiku elicits the paradox. How can the ordinary, that is the mundane, quotidian parts of our lives, be a blessing and a curse at the same time? But amazingly, that we get to decide which it is for us. And as Amy's haiku points out, it can be more than a blessing. If anything can be more, let's say in addition to, but a call. How can this haiku provokes ordinariness be a call? Is it a calling? Are we called to be ordinary? And in that case, is it also koan-esque at the same time that curse was mentioned, not or? In other words, but and. Seeing the beauty in what is may actually be a punchline, right? Perhaps the beauty is not just in what is right here in front of us activity-wise, but perhaps there is a beauty in the elegant non-duality of an and or dilemma. Those who choose simply beauty in everything, that is, however, is my guess, what will bring the most steadfast peace to all who find it.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah, great stuff.
And now I'm like, I don't know if my high bun was very good compared to what you both said.
There is no evaluation in haiku.
Oh, okay.
There is especially no self-evaluation.
Okay. I'm always on the lookout for words that sparkle. A sparkling word or phrase invites pause, wondering, or pondering. A sparkling phrase helps me to see something in a new way. Like when walking in gravel, there are certain rocks that the unique angles and edges reflect the sun, teasing the sparkle of a diamond. Words do that too. I don't know who Ted Loder is or where I read his quote. Empower me to exercise the authority of honesty and be a participant in the difficult ordinariness of now. But the line, ordinariness of now, sparkled. As a rule, our culture doesn't seem to do very well with ordinary. We love to talk about extraordinary. Extraordinary achievements, successes, failures, and ideas are what make the news. Ordinary feels a little womp womp in a never-ending cycle of bigger and better. Ordinariness. Ness is a suffix that means state, condition, or quality of. Out of curiosity, I looked up ordinary. Ordinary is the regular or customary state of things. Ordinariness, then, is the state or condition of being regular. That's really not so bad. Ordinariness. We can either make peace with being ordinary or view it as something to push against. There is beauty in the regular, in the ordinary, in the normal state of things. May we find the sparkle and delight in the ordinary.
Amy, your fidelity to words, I love it.
I know, I always am looking them up, but it's so interesting.
It is. And I did the same thing this month with ordinariness. And for a while, in my high bun, I was trying to get a connection between these two senses, the verb of ordinary and the noun of ordinary.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, regardless,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're muted, Michael.
Thank you. I also think this idea of ordinary and extraordinary is one of the most powerful things that we can think about, especially from a contemplative perspective.
Mhm.
And from a profound learning perspective, not to get sidetracked on this, but Davin and I have actually written about ordinary and extraordinary and how important that is for deep learning, recognizing the extraordinary that is in every ordinary.
Right. Right.
So you just look at everything, and so that's spiritual, that's physical, that's physics. It's amazing. So this is great haiku and haibun. So
Thank you.
my turn, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Ted Loder. Do you know Ted Loder?
I don't know who he is.
I was somewhat relieved to hear you say that you didn't know who he was. You showed the quote earlier, and I was like, Ted Loder.
I don't know.
Ted Loder.
Well, I'm feeling sorry for Ted Loder now. He's probably out there listening to our haiku saying, you guys don't know me? I mean, really, come on. I've written 23 books on empowerment and acting like it's chopped liver. Okay, so here's my haiku, and here's the other side. Didn't have anything.
I loved this though. It was so peaceful. I loved just pulling this out and like, oh. And you took this, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I try to always take pictures that are on these cards. So just to make a point, this is an ordinary night with an extraordinary view. To make your point, just an ordinary night. So here's my haiku. And this picture's a little bit too big, but you can see it. Through a dawning night, step by step to mystery's height, a ladder of light.
Do you want me to go?
Sure.
All right. The art of haiku is putting a frame around a singular moment. This haiku, with a picture of a snowy evening through horizontal blinds, puts a frame around the most ordinary of moments. Blinds as a ladder of light. A ladder is a tool that we use to reach higher than we can on our own. It supports our weight. We ascend a ladder one step at a time. It would serve no purpose not to use each step on the ladder. As we move upward, we see everything from a new perspective. The blinds that looked clean reveal more dust the higher we ascend. Perspective changes everything. Or in the case of the photo, the light shines brighter the higher our eyes move up the blinds. This haiku is so complex and utterly simple at the same moment. I wonder if I would have seen the light that Michael saw as a ladder of light. Michael reveals his true mastery of haiku in this haiku. Observation of the ordinary through the alchemy of haiku becomes extraordinary. This haiku and photo are a portal to see beyond what is, to see the magic and beauty in every moment.
Nice. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, I loved it.
And I had honestly, I had the exact same thought. The words, they're not in my high bun, but I thought, Michael on occasion masters this. I mean, just you hit the ball out of the park with some of the. All right, my turn. This haiku rhymes. Are haikus supposed to rhyme? Does a night dawn? Are blinds actually ladders? Does that middle verse have 7 or 8 syllables? Grand Crothian irreverence is afoot in this poem. I also see Augustine, as in Saint Augustine, at work, the grand philosopher of light. recognizing proximity to God in both illumination and elevation. There's irreverence here, though, as well. The images that we have of Augustine, paintings that we see of him, and the work of our mind's eye as we imagine a great philosopher and saint, our mind's eye being another great Augustinian image. The image we have of him always show the spiritual master ensconced in a rich library, the book open in front of him, quill in hand, presumably writing amazing things. His face is always toward heaven, with the light of God shining down on his countenance. The reality, however, is that Augustine was preaching more often than not, sharing encouraging, hopeful, and meaningful words with people, among the people, not hidden away in an ivory tower. The work of God, the opus Dei, the illumination and elevation so prominent in Augustine's thinking, isn't aloof, high-minded observation and separation. Instead, the work of God is in the everyday. The more we see it and witness to it, the closer to God we will be. This irreverent haiku captures the opus Dei as well as anything I've encountered. The open blinds, likely closed, shuttered only moments before the picture was taken. It captured the fading of night, night that represents the uncertain, the scary, the fading of night into the illumination of the day, representing the potential of appreciating the mystery that makes it all happen.
Wow.
So good.
Yeah.
Crothian irreverence.
Gotta note that.
FOMO vision. Oh, gosh, this is a highlight of my month. Every single month, I am indebted to both of you. I am grateful for you, for being with you both.
Same.
So, when I saw this light stepping up my blinds one morning, I felt delight. I'd looked out that window 1,000 times before and had never noticed this effect. For some reason, I was paying attention to the whole picture and not just a foreground or background or a cat walking across the street. I snapped a picture to capture what my eyes were seeing, hoping that it wasn't an illusion or that my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. It was a gestalt. The whole had clicked into place. And though I don't categorize it as a mystical experience, I did see the whole in a new way and for the first time. But then I realized it was just a whole part of an infinitely larger wholeness. Where does that ladder of light lead to? Is there a top step? Only one way to find out. Put your foot in the bottom rung and start ascending.
Elevate thyself.
Elevate thyself.
So, well,
Okay.
so there's this book that it reminded me, this ladder to the light book, which he's talking about, like in Native American, like they start in kivas, which are these underground dark places, but there's a ladder to light. And so this is his, like, this book is his like ascent of the ladder to the light, which I loved. When I read yours, I'm like, wait a minute, there's a connection.
I didn't read that book. I've never seen that title. So you know.
It's good. You're onto a bigger picture that is a bigger spiritual truth.
I had this is another haiku I wrote sometime in the last week or so, and I was thinking, we start to make progress when we not only, this is when I was thinking about my wife going into the hospital, and back to ordinary and extraordinary. We start to grow our beingness when we see not only the light at the end of the tunnel, but the light in the tunnel,
Wow.
the light of the tunnel. And so that's, to me, that's a different image of, instead of seeing the future, but seeing exactly what you were talking about, the extraordinariness of now. And so light is such an interesting metaphor, analogy, whatever you want to call it, for both that, it's just interesting.
So good.
What else do we have to talk about, my friends?
I think we're good.
We are good. So folks listening to this, be sure and catch Amy's weekly essay. They're so good, and she's on this spiritual direction journey, and so I think we're going to learn. I think we're going to learn as we go along with her. So that's just great. And thanks. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.